The American middle class, working class are complaining. Trump, where's the jobs? Where's the jobs? Well, you know, you're not, you're going to have a job. You're going to give data to the AI. And if you're good, good things will happen. Let me explain.
What's happened right here? It's the front lines of the biggest war we face as a working class. And that's the class war that's been going on between
Class
working
war. I haven't heard
people
that for a long
and
time.
corporate greed for decades.
After a century of operation, Case New Holland announced plans to shut down its manufacturing plant in Burlington, Iowa, cutting over 200 union jobs and devastating the community.
President Trump promised to bring jobs back, to lift wages of workers, to lower costs. None of that stuff is happening. But right now, we are imploring this administration to put an end to plant closures in this country.
On the past 4 years, this company has made $8.7 billion. They've given Wall Street...
Think about it. Think about it. That's pretty good profits when you're manufacturing, assembling within the United States. That's pretty damn good profits. So if the plant's shutting down, where's it going? I'm curious. I'm very curious. Now, More Perfect Union, if you haven't watched that channel, look, it's clearly Michael Moorish, leftist, rich Jewish kids, Trotsky glasses, but they do some freaking good work with facts and figures. They're pretty good. Yeah.
$3.3 billion in dividends and buybacks. What do the workers who make the product that generates those profits get? I'll put it bluntly, we get fucked.
Oh, language.
This plant has been the backbone of Burlington, but they don't give a damn. And we are not going to take plant closures while they get stock buybacks.
My 2-year-old and my 3-year-old will be impacted in the education system here without...
Oh, now. What were you thinking? That the economy serves you, the people? Come on.
My 2-year-old and my 3-year-old will be impacted in the education system here. Without that tax revenue coming into the community, classroom sizes continue to grow. Services like the ones that my son needs for being deaf and hard of hearing are the first ones that get fucking cut. And that really makes me mad.
They're sending the rest of the work to a non-union plant. What do they want most? They want to be out of the union business.
No company making billions of dollars should be closing a plant anywhere. This company told us just last week they're closing this plant because it'll save them just under $17 million a year. They want to drop an economic bomb on the Burlington community for less than 1 percentage point of their profits.
I don't care what color of hat you wear, whether it's red or blue, all must demand. Case New Holland, you are not going to devastate another working class town.
The handful of greedy son of a bitches at the top want more for themselves. Because $100 million for the CEOs and billions of dollars for the shareholders, it's still not enough. These bastards want it all. Fuck them. We're not out to wreck the economy. We're out to wreck their economy. Because their economy only works for the billionaires and the corporate class, and it leaves everybody else in the ditch.
Yeah, we have to ask a question.
What's happening right here?
What do you think? You think, without doubt, an element of the billion, we'll call it the billionaire class, are detached from reality, sit in boardrooms, fly in helicopters. Often they have tunnels. You know, in Perth, Western Australia, I used to know the copper that used to handle he was like a special unit, and they would check the security of all the tunnels that run under Perth. Now, that's nothing compared to the tunnels all through major US cities. They have tunnels freaking everywhere underneath. You know, a guy that did some of the security detachment said, Brennan, you never see them. You can't ambush them because they're all in, there's tunnels everywhere, dude. They're either flying in helicopters, there's tunnels, they come out in car parks and other giant buildings, and they just live in a bubble. But of course, there is a section that know exactly what's going on. Certainly the intelligence community knows what's going on. The social networking science companies knows what's going on. The private military contractors know what's going on. So clearly, there's a plan See, it's just saying corporate greed. Well, at that level, yes, but it's not corporate greed. There's a plan. It's called Communitarian Smart Cities. Okay? There's a plan. And I keep screaming since day one. I said from the very beginning when I got back from Iran, when it all clicked, Belt and Road, smart cities, the whole thing, Israel, so on and so forth. World Economic Forum, particularly after COVID. We know all this now. We all know the basics. Most people know the basics. Is to just let it get so hard. Like when Pinochet was getting calls from Kissinger, when Allende was making a fool of himself. I believe Allende was actually working for City of London. I really do. What man in his right mind, he was clearly a smart, intelligent man, was baiting the US, nationalizing all the big companies and saying, we're going with Cuba. He was literally giving the finger to the US. You're asking for it now. It made AOC look sane. So yeah, he was doing some good things. They were reallocating land. They were raising infant mortality rate. Lowering the infant mortality rate. They were giving milk and some nutritious food to the poor kids. Who's not for that? But who has to destroy the middle class of a South American country for what? To do this? Do you ever see that nothing seems to be in balance? It always seems to be an extremist. Always, without question. So Kissinger's calling Allende, and that's in, not Allende, he's calling Pinochet, Chile, the general, and he's asking, when are you going to move on Allende? And he says, not yet. This is a quote from the book by, what's her name? Oh, for crying out loud, Brennan. Is it Hannah Arendt? No, not Hannah Arendt. Anyway, it's a book on Kissinger. It's very good. I listened to the audiobook. And it says, when are you going to move on Allende? He said, not yet, quote, not yet. In fact, let's do this. He said, and I quote, not yet. It's, I'm loving this, not bad enough. We're not moving. Quote, not yet. It's not bad enough. Oh, yeah. Remember those words. Okay? So America, when are things going to get better? The billionaire class, the corporates, because there's levels above them, remember. They're just the front men. What's above them? Those large banking financial families, 13 families of Europe, the Hoofjuden, the court Jews of Europe, that mixing and merging of the old British Israelism, born to rule the world, that combination, which is having a huge shit fight right now. Right now it's having a huge shit fight. So what's the plan? Is to put you back under the corporate commons, under the commonwealth, back under the crown. That's the plan. And it will be called communitarian law because you can't call it communism. And they always said, we never got it right. We had a chance to have real communism. Okay, then it got centralized command and control. Stalin took over, the big fight happened. And Chomsky, who is useful, not now, he's a horrible, noxious old man. But that a lot of the reports initially in the revolution were that things improved, workers got control of factories, and there was hope for about 18 months. Then the Civil War started, then the whole big fight started, then you saw the centralized command and control, which is always the plan. It's always the workers, and then of course, in come the mob. Remember, communism is an invention of very wealthy people to put people back under control because they knew as things were improving, as education improved, they would have to, there was clearly collective changes happening in the human psyche. There was evolutionary changes in the energetic fields that were taking place, moving into the age of Aquarius, moving into this industrial age and this incredible technology. They knew they had to come up with something. So they invented communism to put the peasants back under control. And then they had National Socialism in the United States of Europe. They had a form of communism in China. Then they were going to put their communitarian first experiment was going to be in the Federated States of Greater Israel, which they're still trying to do as we speak, a version of it. So now we move from this multipolar world order, communitarian world order. Now the Bannons of the world are calling it a trilateral world order. And we can argue whether the US elites are actually in control of this. Certainly there's a negotiation going on. Why is there a negotiation, not a complete takeover? Because the US has been backdoored, as I've said over and over and over and over and over again. They've been so backdoored and they're so corrupt and they've got so much dirt on US elites. They have to do a negotiation. Still not working out. Bibi ain't in charge. I'm telling you this right now. He's taking orders. And Sarah Netanyahu is a US intelligence asset. But does that make it any better? I don't know. They're all still dead in Gaza, 50,000 plus and counting, all buried under the rubble. Those were all US bombs. They weren't made in Israel. They were gifted. No one pays for them. US taxpayer pays for that. Those laser-guided 2,000-pound bombs that took down buildings, well, Israel could never have, we've got to stop blaming Israel and Jews. That's US elites, all right? That's not US Jewish elites. That is a deal that was done between US elites and the Jews, Jewish power, political Zionism, City of London. That was a deal. And the deal was you get rid of your Islamic terror network, okay? And everything's changing. And Bibi's doing his work. Now, he does not operate independently. He's following instructions coming out of Washington, D.C. and the Pentagon, okay? Doesn't make it lovely. And now we'll see a cleanup in the United States, starting with Nick Fuentes. Nick Fuentes is being groomed to be killed. I absolutely believe that. We'll see what happens, see how it transpires. But if you have been working for them, watch out. Watch out. Because you're like the brown shirts. And when they move, you'll be cleaned up. So this guy is obviously a passionate old school union for the working class. Great. I presume he's a member of a lodge. He'll be some member somewhere. I'm sure he's a good-hearted man. Just looking at him, vibe. He's probably a decent, hard-working man, local community leader, as it should be. The union movement was never meant to be, run by these giant foundation systems who fund them into ridiculous things like gender equality and transgender rights. So that was the old school, see? And it was meant to be a formed collective bargaining relationship between this corporate structure and the working class, which is all run by the same people. I'm sorry, they are. And when Adam Smith wrote the fantastic books on the economy, he never imagined giant transnational corporations. Never. It was always about local communities finding out and having a free trade between smaller economic systems. And it kind of works in a smaller economic system. But now we're at the age of joining lodges and groups and communities and collectives, which is true fascism, corporatism. Hitler was not a fascist. He was a National Socialist, centralized command and control. That's what he was, which is just another variation on the system. You could have a theocracy, you could have a so-called communist, but the point is it's all centralized command and control. They put their actor at the top and voila. But it's always the same people running stuff. So the future is communitarian smart cities. That is the future. And I believe US elites have a version. They're going to shove all the useless eaters, morons, all those Bachelor of Arts degrees, gender studies degrees they're never working, they're grossly obese, overweight, entitled, and fucked in the head. They are going to go into city states. So they'll break it up. I thought it might be along state lines, but no, I think it's going to be along city states. So they'll put individual cities and towns will be where people can go. So people who want to live in a multiracial, get up and go kind of society with values, based on the US Constitution, that is probably where all the industry is going to go. Probably there'll be a gradual transition down to the southern states to some degree. Maybe they'll keep the data centers in the north where there's more water. I don't know. Those are details to be worked out. But the basic premise is dividing everyone up along city states, communitarian smart cities. That is definitely the plan. That is the version. A lot of useless eaters, a lot of change, a lot of transition, the Luddites, the Industrial Revolution. We are in another phase of an Industrial Revolution. Now, what happened during that phase of the Industrial Revolution? Things actually got better. The Luddites were smashing equipment, all the loom, the mills for cotton and making clothes and tapestries and so on. They were smashing equipment. They thought it was the end of the world, but in actual fact, the Industrial Revolution created a whole new society, didn't it? For good or ill. Well, we have another industrial revolution, and it could be equally as exciting, or it could be equally terrifying. But most people, here's the rub. Remember, I was in jail for 3 years. I did over 2 years of maximum security. Okay, I was a minimum security rated prisoner. You adapt like that to maximum security. Within 2 weeks, you know who the psychos are. You know to walk the lines. You keep your mouth shut, keep quiet. Well, I didn't, but I know the rules. You adapt. Becomes normal. Being strip searched, lift your balls, cough and squat. Completely normal. Stark naked, standing in your cell. Female prison officers just off to the side. And if they walk past, you wouldn't even give a shit. You don't even care. You adapt, and you adapt quick, and people will adapt. I'm telling you, human nature is no mystery. Human nature is not a mystery. Human nature is so predictable, it's pathetic. It's pathetic. You think, oh, I'm such a precious snowflake. No one's like me. I'm sorry. You're so fucking predictable. You have no fucking idea. The first step towards being a mature human being is understanding you're not a fucking precious snowflake. Your basic drives, instincts, collective and individual desires, there's literally 8 types of person, basic types. 8 data points will tell you the basic type of the person. And when you accept that you are that fucking predictable, you'll be horrified, but that's the beginning of healing and beginning of accepting how controllable you really are. We all are. And now they have up to 3,000 data points, and some people who are online all day have 30,000 data points. They can predict at the individual, small town, collective, nation state level. That's how good it is. They can predict. And they're doing experiments all the time, putting in inputs, watching the output. If you can just accept that now and understand at every level, everything you see on YouTube is a level of control. If you can accept, and here I spend a lot of time pondering imponderables. You think I'm working hard. Well, sometimes, but a lot of the time I'm just lying in anxiety, trying to get a worldview that hopefully can actually help you get a handle on things. And that is this. When you can accept that a large percentage of the world's population are going to have to be dealt with. They are psychotic, they are pathologically narcissistic, they are selfish, and they are horrible human beings. And in normal small-scale tribal societies, they would never live. They would be cast out by the tribe, they would be killed by the tribe, they would be left to die. Okay, what would happen is in the struggle to survive, those that have close familial, loving relationships, that sacrifice for the other, I and the other are one, they survive. It was a Jewish guy, of course it's a Jewish guy, Jewish anthropologist, but he was really, I can't find the damn documentary. He studied baboons in South Africa. And you would not like dolphins. You think dolphins are loving? They rape other dolphins, they're mean, they fight each other. Oh, pleasant dolphins, my ass, they are aggressive and horrible. Horrible, gang up on each other, bully and kill each other. So too with baboons. And what he noticed was, you could see some of the baboons, the females were clearly being coerced into sexual reproduction, like they were scared. The other male baboons were bullies and horrible. They were beating up and killing the other baboons. This also happens in chimpanzee society. And what he noted was tuberculosis, literal tuberculosis, TB, went through the big tribe of these baboons. And what he noticed was all the horrible psychopathic type of baboons all died because the other ones that were more loving and more gentle would look after each other. This is a really important documentary. God, I wish I could find it. I can't even remember its name. AI might help me find it. And he noticed that when this disease, when this crisis went through the tribe of these baboons, all the horrible, narcissistic, pathological, bullying type apes all died. A lot of the normal ones died, the nice ones died too, but what came out was a core of loving baboons who looked after each other. Sound familiar? The meek shall inherit the earth. I'm just saying, here's things you don't want to think about. Eugenics, you don't want to think about it. We've got to think about how do we create quality human beings? Do we think about who we're marrying? Do we think about it? Do we compare birth charts? Are arranged marriages so bad? Don't get me wrong, I don't want forced arranged marriages, but I would love to see a community where people get together and look at birth chart, natal charts, and see compatibility of personalities and things. We never think, oh, I've fallen in love. Yeah, right. Romantic love is bullshit. That used to be reserved for religion. It was a very practical love in the day. You had to survive. Now as life becomes very easy, I'm not saying it's good or bad. I'm just saying we now have an inner battle. We now have to, as life gets easier, what happens is all the inner demons come up. And it's going to get worse and worse and worse. Wait for it. It's going to get worse. The next 50, 100 years, you all think we're dying tomorrow. We're not. The next 50 or 100 years as life gets better and all the fear mongering and you see, wow, these smart cities are fucking awesome. And then there'll be legislation put in to assuage our anxiety about certain things. And you're going to go, well, you know what? This doesn't look too bad. They're going to lower the... Remember that this is very deliberate what they're doing. They are deliberately putting people through hell. Once they build the crescendo of the fear, Goldstein, then the music kind of calms and you have your new system. This is Fabian socialism. This is psychological control. This is psychological warfare. Then you will accept the new system. Yeah, you'll have cheap, if not free housing for everybody. You'll have all your human rights, fresh water. Those smart cities, you have no idea how good they're going to be. They're going to have fresh fruit just growing from the sides of buildings. And the fruit is going to be enriched with nutrients. And you're just going to be able to pluck one off. You'll probably have a little tap you can wash the fruit under and just eat it on your way to your 4-hour-a-day job. You have no fucking idea how good these cities are going to be over the next 20, the initial phase in the next 20 years. They're prepping collective human societies ready for this system. I think you're going to see a lot of death and destruction of other parts of the world. Asia, usually. Eurasia. And then you're going to see the development of this communitarian smart city program. That's the plan. So they're going to build to the crescendo, and then you're going to see the good stories are going to start flooding in. They're going to take the pressure off. A lot of people are going to go in. They've already psychologically mapped all the population. The population is mapped, and they know certain percentage will resist. Some will be fanatically resisting. I don't think they're going to stop people having firearms in America. Not yet. They believe they're just going to let it gradually die off. As the anxiety is released, less and less people will, and as the crime comes in, less and less people will be bothered with firearms, and they'll voluntarily give them up without even knowing they're voluntarily giving them up. They're going to lull the population to sleep. This is like an orchestra with a conductor at the front, and they're conducting this beautifully. Right, but that's at the very highest levels, and there's a lot of chaos between them and us. So we see the Jeff Bezos owns, I guarantee you, Jeff Bezos literally owns nothing. They are just frontmen. It's the same old story. Oh, I started in a garage, started from nothing. Mum and dad gave me a loan. It's the same fucking story, background story. They always say, give a story. Remember how Apple, Steve Jobs, was very good because he had a story attached to the whole thing. Elizabeth Holmes had a story about why she wanted to get the little drop of blood. And it's a whole back-end psychological warfare stories. This is advertising and marketing. So they are building a narrative, building a story, building the tension. Exactly how it tactically unfolds, well, that's more difficult to predict. But strategically, we know where it's going. So in this little union movement, thing. It was kind of nice to see good old grassroots, working class, close community. That's where unions can work, but not corporates. We need to smash the transnational corporations, smash the central banking cartels. Is Donald Trump smashing the central banking cartels? Answer's no. Is Donald Trump making the filthy fucking rich pay tax? Answer is no. He doesn't have to lower tax rates. He just tells them, move back to the US or not, or else we'll kill you. Literally. Marine, we'll send in our guys and we'll just blow your fucking brains out. How about that? That's all the US has to do, and everyone fucking complies. Well, guess what? They can't do it, can they? Because they're so filthy and dirty, and the corruption is so fucking deep, and the penetration is so deep. It's really bad, and they're trying to fix it. So the people that got us into the mess are the people trying to fix it. No one's being accountable. Now, you can argue that maybe these things are handled quietly, Brendan. Maybe this is so bad that it has to be done on the sly. I don't know. Is it being done on the sly? I mean, you can read it on Google. The Israeli press reports it. I mean, I have to go to the fucking Jewish Israeli press to find out what's going on, because the Goy, the WASPs, the Catholics, the Masons over there in America can't tell me. But the Israeli press can. So who's freer? Imagine the Israeli press. People can't believe it. How come you get all this information from the Israeli press? I said, because for 15 years I've been warning about it. It's the American fucking press. Well, they say, well, who owns that? Well, I don't know. The same people that are ginning up all the Jew baiting we see online now. I mean, you have noticed that with a click of the fingers. I mean, my stuff, if I said 1/10 of what's getting 1 million views now, I was instant deletion, not just of my fucking video, of my channel. Now it's just like this. Click of the fingers. Next phase of the operation. So you will have to decide. It's always more complicated than it sounds, but then at the same time, it's also very simple. It's also very, very simple. It's very, very simple. The rich get richer and the poor get poorer. There is plenty for all. They keep saying there's not enough, there's not enough. Oh my God, austerity, austerity. Or we need to pay. Why do you have to pay any loans back? Who do you owe the money to? Who fucking cares? What's important is access to raw resources, access to manufacturing and materials and the supply chain. And we have so much. There's so many fridges, washing machines, cars, electric cars, lithium, iron ore, nickel, vanadium, whatever. There's so much that I don't know what to do with it. And there's all these people that say, hey, I could use with that. I know I could spend $1 million right now on a house, a block of land, and furnishings. I want to. I can't do it. Oh, austerity. I'm ready to consume, baby. You need consumption? Give Brendan some money. Just print it out of the fucking thin air, digitally, electronically make it out of thin air and put it in my fucking account and I will spend it for you. Not a problem. There's no one to pay it back to. It's bullshit. It's just bullshit. It's about keeping us down. We are in an age of plenty already, and there's an age of plenty to come. But that's going to bring with it a lot of problems you haven't thought about. When life is easy, and remember, for the filthy elite rich, I mean, look at Jeff Bezos and his $100 million wedding. No one said, Jeff, I don't think it's a good idea to have a $100 million wedding when people are really struggling to put food on the table. No, let's do it. Because I hate to break it to you, but the people in the middle, the billionaires, remember, he owns nothing. They are so divorced from reality, and most of them are suffering chronic, if not deep depression, anxiety, tension, and they're all on drugs. All of them are on drugs. A lot of them are on not just prescription medications, they're on crystal methamphetamine, very pure. A lot of them are IV drug users. You would not believe how many are functional intravenous drug users. They're doing cocaine. Some of them are well managed. They're microdosing LSD because they can't stand the terror, the void of complete loneliness. These people have everything and they're still miserable because part of our evolutionary struggle is to struggle. And that's what keeps us centered. So if you go to be a monastic, or you're on an ashram or somewhere, or you're working towards enlightenment, you do hard physical work. There's a reason for that. It's to keep you grounded from your spiritual fucking hubris. But as we move into this time of plenty where everything is nice, we're going to struggle with mental health that will blow your mind. The rates of mental health, if they're not bad already, will blow out of all proportion. It'll be really bad. And that will be the new struggle, the inner struggle. So we're going to have to sit and collectively think about demographics is destiny. We're going to have to think about things like manufacturing capacity, technological development. We're going to have these discussions. And the current system, although I think it is slightly changing, is bent on keeping people as dumb and ignorant as possible. That's bent on saying, hey, look, freedom is bad. Look how bad it is. Everyone's degenerate. Look at the popular culture. That's from freedom. No, it's not from freedom. It's from a Tavistock Institute, Edward Bernay's psychological warfare program that has originated out of the City of London and those elite banking financial families of Europe. And they are going to kill any notion of freedom and say, no, Julius Evola, sacred tradition. There is a hierarchy. And of course, we as Christians, Muslims, and Tanakh, Old Testament Jews know the real truth. What is the real truth? He who is greatest among you be the servant. Greater love hath no man that he lay down his life for his friends. It's always about sacrifice, looking out for our neighbors and looking out for each other. And we can apply that to other religions, including communism, soon to be known more contemporaneously as communitarianism. The bottom line is, as JFK said, a deeply flawed man with an IV meth drug habit and a sex habit who was effing East German Stasi agents. But JFK did that beautiful speech where he said, we'll cherish our children's future and we are all mortal. He meant well. He really did mean well. And you read some of his letters from World War II. I'm pretty sure we all realize we cherish our children's future and we're all mortal. I'm not saying things are okay at all, but then maybe they are. Maybe we need to get some hope, and maybe part of their plan is to make us as negative and belligerent and angry as possible. You're looking at one. I think I'm losing my mind when I just see, why is this so hard? What's going on? Bannon warned about this. He said, you better start looking after our working class. It's going to be a violent revolution, 300 million firearms. Luigi, look out for St. Luigi. It's going to happen more. And yes, I wonder about St. Luigi. I wonder if he wasn't an operation, just as Nick Fuentes is an operation, just like they're all little operations, warning this billionaire class, warning these efforts, you better start waking up. We can interpret things a lot of different ways. I'm not saying I have all the answers, but I can see that big picture, where they're going with it. For good or ill. Why do I say for good or ill? Because I think at this stage where the collective humanity is so fucking stupid, so out of control, so drugged up, so emotionally ready to explode, that maybe we do need some manufacturing of consent. Maybe we do need that. But I would love to see rhetoric, and at least on the rhetoric level, where we can feel a little bit of relief and trust the plan a little bit. But right now, all I see is a lot of fucking psychological warfare and a lot of messing with people's heads. And I'm just wondering if this is necessary. I really do. And I see ways to fix things which I know are very easy and know could happen very easily at the grassroots. And right now, that's a no. We want no grassroots action. We want total control. I believe potentially, as I game theory in my head, we are in an acute phase. I'm not asking you to trust the plan. I'm not asking to confuse you with analysis paralysis, but I'm also asking you to consider this. It may be we are in an extremely acute phase, like on a war footing, without announcing the war footing. And I mean a real war footing, that they are desperately running around, like all the F-35s that are grounded in the US. Have you noticed? All the F-35s are grounded at a rate of like 40% grounded. Why? Why is it Israel is saying, we love the F-35, can we have more, please? Sorry, the US is grounding them, Israel wants more. Why is that? Because the US is removing all that. The F-35 is a great fighter jet. All right, it's been ripped off. Israel and the program has been ripping off billions of dollars out of that program nonstop. If you didn't know, the F-35 is at least equally an Israeli jet as much as it is a US, ostensibly a US jet. And that F-35 has clearly proven itself. I take it you've noticed. I mean, you have noticed, right? The US is just walking around bombing people laughing, all right? That thing is totally automated. It will automatically fly between radar systems offering the lowest profile of the aircraft. It's all automated, all right? It's untouchable. The US is untouchable except for all those backdoors because the US is removing all the backdoors and software shit the Israelis have put in that stuff. And Israelis have been warning about it for crying out loud. It gets a little complicated, isn't it? Israel, Jews, it's a little bit more complicated than that. But let's keep it simple without running around rounding up Jews right now. Like I said, 90% will be Goy rats, not Jews. Whatever the fuck a Jew is. Okay, so there might be an acute phase. Not asking you to trust the plan, but we need to consider that. But are we going to see the rhetoric and other things change? Because right now, China's clearly under control. Russia's clearly under control. The enemy of France is going to get slapped. Not the French people. I'm talking about their elites. We know who they are, Evelyn de Rothschild and friends. Okay, so there's going to be a bit of a slapping going on. France is all down here in Mexico, Central and South America, along with Sweden, with a whole range of Europeans and ostensibly dual national Israeli citizens from all over the world. So when we say France, when we say Sweden, when we say Germany, are we really saying German Jews, French Jews, Swedish Jews, dual nationals with Israeli passports? Is that what we're saying? We don't know. Gets complicated, doesn't it? I just know I want the US to rule openly and say sorry. It controls all of the shipping passages. It controls the Straits of Malacca. You can just wipe out the oil trade into China and that's the end of China in 5 minutes flat. Their fucking nukes don't even freaking work. The nukes don't even work. They don't. They don't have any. I guarantee you China doesn't even have any nukes. I'm pretty sure they'll start doing tests now. Yes, we do. Yes, we do. We've got one. Look at Russia and their Satan missile. It just blew up in the damn silo. All right? US is just sitting there laughing its ass off. All right? It's got shit everywhere. But why can't it just rule openly? Why can't it say sorry? And form alliances and say, do you want in? You want to build your middle class? Come with us. You'll get the technology. You'll get all this stuff. Well, it can't because it's been so rotted from within. It's an acute, it's got to get out all the rats. It's got to get all the maggots. It's got to get all the termites and it's got to rebuild its basic structure. We could argue that. I don't know how long that takes, but we should consider it. But at the same time, the half-wits that are running the show in the US allegedly, and there's clearly some very smart people, particularly in the intelligence communities, I think you need to give people a little bit of hope here, and particularly the more politically astute. We would like a little trust the plan message, if you wouldn't mind. That would be nice. All right, ladies and gents, you have a good day. I am taking a literal day off, but then I never do. And then I run around not actually getting anything done as I try to take a day off. But I really want to finish this script for this voiceover before the end of the month, and it'll be a good video. So remember, build the tension, and a large segment of, we'll talk about the US population, North America for now. We'll be going into these smart cities programs. And maybe they need to go in, because Americans keep telling me, Brendan, you don't know how insane they are. You can't fix these people. Maybe you could stick them in a camp, some sort of re-education program, a camp, a communitarian smart city, and do something with them. Otherwise, they're not coming back. But I look forward to a 4-hour working week. I look forward to where all the basics are attended to. And I look forward to new popular culture, the end of this degenerate shit we see around us. I look forward to real organic music and less profit and more creative artistry and things like that. More creative, little arts. Like all over Mexico, there's always little art places. And I always think they probably import it from China. But a lot of the stuff, some comes from China, but that's obvious. But a lot of the arts and crafts are all locally made. Little old ladies sit on the street, and it's very nice. We've got to get back to that sort of society. It can be done. Remember, there's plenty for everyone. It's artificial scarcity of every kind. They refuse to pay any fucking tax, and yet the US has the power. They know where all the tax havens are. They could just wipe out this magical debt with a transfer of all the digital ones. Strip them of their fucking assets. Who are these pieces of shit? But at the same time, we, as the working class, lower middle class, and so on, have got to pull our weight too. What does that mean? Well, it means just because someone's wealthy doesn't mean you should take stuff off them. If their family has built a business, is it ever built naturally? Usually not. It's usually drug money handed down. There's all sorts of shit that goes on. But there are those small to medium-sized businesses, family businesses, they need to be encouraged. And if someone works hard and someone's got the brains and they're very business-oriented, look, some are workers. I'm a worker. I'm an intellectual and a worker. I'm not a business person. I don't have that bang, get up and go. I've met people that do, and they work so hard and they love the struggle and they build a successful business. I knew one guy who worked 18 hours a day for years. I thought the guy was going to have a heart attack. And he built a very successful mobile freaking coffee place. You see his house. So it's a long time since I've seen anyone spoken to him. But the guy built that. He wasn't like some lodge member and had it handed to him. He worked his ass off. Him and his wife they really liked doing that stuff. And they built a successful business. And I want to see those people succeed. Whether it's manufacturing, industry, we've got to go back to family businesses and end the reign of the corporate terror reign of the fucking corporations, and especially the giant transnational corporations and this banking and financial arm. It's got to end. And that should be on the tongue, at least in rhetoric form, of this Trump administration, the blue-collar Reagan Democrat types. Where is it? Till then, the shit will remain the same. Talk soon.